What's up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to the Nickel City Rush Hour. The Bills get a win yesterday. Wasn't exciting, 9-3. And we're going to get in all the good and the bad of the game. You have to score a touchdown this year in preseason. Interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit. As you can see, I got my guy Jake Podger here as always, and we got the boys joining us from the Red, White, and Ruthless. You know, they usually go live on Saturdays, and we got to talking and said, you know what? You're probably going to be talking about a lot of the same things. So let's just get on the Sunday Rush Hour show with us. During the regular season, they're going to be doing all the pregame shows, and Jake and I will be taking on the postgame shows. That way, Jake and I, we like to party a little bit more than these two boys. We're a little bit older, but we are the party guys. And of course, when it's a loss, we like to therapy sessions. So, anyhow, before we get into the good and the bad, I mean, there's a story that stole the show last night, and that's Buffalo Joe, I guess is his nickname, Joe Andreessen. And guys, I got to tell you, man, this is a really good feel good story for Buffalo. Kid out of, I think he went to Lancaster as far as high school goes, Jake, right?
Yep,
And played in UB as well. So we got him and Cam Lewis. Cam Lewis making the team. I don't know if Trek Review's out there. Cam shining bright yesterday, but
I don't
know about that.
but this young man, I mean, he had a fantastic game. I can't even imagine, like, we were so beat up, Jake. Let me throw it to you to talk a little bit more about him. But can you imagine the coaches come to you and say, "Hey, man, you're going to start today"? Can you imagine that? Talk to me, Jake.
No, I can't imagine it. Talk about immense pressure. First off, shout out to Maction. Shout out to UB. Producing some fine athletes on this Buffalo Bills team. You did forget to mention Jamarcus Ingram as well, Mike, who had a fantastic game yesterday.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The two UB guys really showing up. Cam Lewis, also a UB product, but the stars of the show definitely on that defense were Joe Andreessen and Jamarcus Ingram. But yeah, going back to Joe Andreessen, man, he answered the bell. He did a fantastic job. Played as good as he probably could have, right? And it's impressive when you see a kid that's undrafted that played at lower, quote unquote, lower level Division I, right? Now, I'm not going to say that they are really lower level because I think there's some absolute dogs that play in the MAC that don't get enough credit, i.e. Khalil Mack, right? So I got to say, I was very impressed. He looked comfortable in the defense. He made plays when he needed to. I mean, stopping guys in the backfield, 12 tackles, 2 for a loss. He was all over the place, and it was pretty cool because his family was in the stands to watch, and obviously not too far of a trip for him. So really good, feel-good story. I'm getting John Cordell-like vibes from him. I don't know if you remember John Cordell, played linebacker with us. Came out of Sacred Heart back in 2007 and was like a safety linebacker hybrid. Ended up sticking around with the team for about 5 years. Was more of like a special teamer, but that's where I think that this guy kind of fits. You know, I know everyone's on their high horse. They're saying he's going to be the next Milano, this, that, and other. I hope he is. Trust me, I hope he is. But the reality is he did play because there were some injuries. Obviously, Terrell Bernard didn't play. It was a great situation for him, and he rose to the occasion. And it's great to know that we have some depth, especially because we were just dealt with some gut-wrenching news with Matt Milano. So yeah. I love the story. I'm here for it. I want to see more of it, and hopefully it can continue to trend upwards.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it to Sean here in a sec for a question, because I know we were talking on our group chat, all of us, all 4 of us, and a lot of people were saying, man, I can see this guy in a 53-man roster. And again, like you said, Jake, going to the extreme of, man, he could be the Milano replacement. I mean, come on now. But, I know initially my thought was, I don't see it, but, do we forget who number 44 for the Steelers that was playing last night? Tyler Matakevich, and he was a 4-year special team specialist for us. I can see this kid making the team just for that. And heck, if we were depleted as we were last year in the playoffs, who'd you rather have, this young kid or AJ Klein? I'm taking this kid all day based on what I saw. So, Sean, talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on this young kid.
I remember the name I was telling you earlier. It's Vince Papale. Tried out for the Philly team because they were trash, and then made the team and was a special teamer. It's like that kind of vibe where you're from Buffalo, you go to UB, and you get to play for the team that you love since you were growing up. And I can't even imagine as a Bills fan, like me being in that situation. It's got to be absolutely amazing. But again, like I tell you guys in the group chat last week, 90% of the fan base was saying, "Oh, well, it's preseason. None of this matters. It's all trash and garbage, and it's just a pointless thing to do." And yeah, we didn't game plan. We didn't do this. But now all of a sudden we game plan. Now all of a sudden preseason matters. Now all of a sudden you can judge someone off of one preseason game. So I love our fan base. We're definitely the most passionate fan base. We're the best fan base, but we're also the least consistent fan base when it comes to takes. And I loved what I saw from Van Andreessen yesterday. However, just because you see him shooting gaps and running through tackles and having a high motor and just being all over the place, that doesn't mean that if you put him on the starting lineup, he's going to go do that week in and week out. In his rookie season. We got to remember he was a UDFA for a reason. Not that he's not a good football player, but 32 teams didn't want him 7 different times. So are all these scouts, all these teams wrong about the kid? I don't know. Can he become something in the future? I think he could, but to say like people are crazy, like I see him on Twitter. Twitter's a horrible place. I remember now why I got rid of it, but now I'm back on it anyway. And I see people calling other people crazy. You're crazy if you think he's not going to be picked up on another 53-man roster. You're crazy if you think that. I don't really think so, because part of the problem is a lot of our fan base forgets that there's 31 other teams that have 50 players to cut. And I'm sure that a lot of them have linebackers that are going to get cut that are probably better than Buffalo Joe. So to sit here and call people crazy for thinking that he can get back to our practice squad, I think that's a little wild to say. That's a wild take. Nothing wrong with being a practice squad player, and then maybe next year you might see some playing time, because we got to remember he played for Bernard. He's never gonna, if Bernard's healthy, he's never gonna see the field. I don't know if he could play the other outside linebacker position. I don't know if he could play special teams. So if he can't play special teams, there goes a knock on him there. And then if he can't play the other linebacker position, then he's going to have to sit behind Bernard the entire time. And barring another injury to the linebacking core, I think he's just going to be a practice squad guy, which, again, like Jake was saying earlier in the group chat, that'd be a fantastic thing for a kid like him who was an undrafted free agent, had to fight in college, fight to get in the NFL, fight to make a roster. Getting on the practice squad would be a huge accomplishment. But yeah, again, I don't want to sound like the negative person, but I try to be as realistic as possible. And, I saw a lot of good things from him. And, people are putting out the film. Oh, like he shed the block from a starting right guard and then tackled a starting running back. Yeah, well, that's what a linebacker is supposed to do. It's a basic skill set of a linebacker. You should be able to shed blocks. You don't want the block to come to you. That was a huge thing I hated for Edmonds, was he waited for the blocks to get to him. Now, what Van Andreessen did, he beat the block and got to the running back, didn't stop his feet, and ran through the tackle. That's great technique, and it's great fundamentals, and that's a great start for a kid. And, again, 90% of what he did yesterday was against second, third, and fourth team. Yeah, he made some plays against the first team, but most of them were out after the first quarter. So, yeah, he had a fantastic day, but let the kid develop first, to pump the brakes on the expectations. I know he's a Buffalo kid, but if that was Frank Gore Jr. getting 5 touchdowns yesterday, nobody would be saying he'd get him on the 53-man roster. He's the best player on the team. So,
I don't know. That's a bad example. People like Frank Gore, so they might be pounding their chest for him a little bit.
So anyone else that you could submit that?
You're right. You're right, though. I see what you mean by it.
Yeah, if he wasn't from Buffalo, then nobody would be like, yeah, he's better than Matt Milano. I've seen people comparing, Matt Milano's contract $17 million, his is $700K. Let's put him over there. Like, come on, guys. Yeah. Like, last week you guys were crying about Milano being gone. Now all of a sudden we don't care. Like, that's all right.
I will say this too about Buffalo Joe. He was mic'd up. I don't know if you guys caught that. He was mic'd up for the Bears game. I didn't see that. So it was interesting yesterday when I'm watching the game, like 44. Who's starting? Who's 44? So I'm quickly researching it, and of course they were interviewing him after the game. All the beat writers wanted to talk about it with him, and I thought he handled it really well. You can tell he's a little nervous, and he was answering the questions properly. He's like, he wants back the ones he missed. There was like two tackles. He had 2 missed tackles, and he was talking about I want those back. But yeah, it was cool that he was mic'd up, and they had him mic'd up, and it feels like I know Josh ran up to him and he's like, yeah, I'm on the mic. And I feel like once players know someone's on the mic, they're like, oh, I better watch what the heck I'm saying. But they had him mic'd up on some special teams plays. I thought that was fun. And then on defense. And it's crazy. Did he just come in late in the fourth quarter? I didn't see him in the Bears game. Was it more of a he got play time later in the game?
That's
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he had like 1 or 2 tackles that game.
Okay. That's why I didn't see him. But so when you see him start, you're like, what's going on here? So good story. We'll see how that plays out. And like I said, Tyler Matakevich, 44, was playing against us last night with the Steelers, and we know how good he was on special teams.
What a stat by Jessica here. 11% of starters. That's pretty awesome. That's a great stat.
Yes, that is awesome.
We had Quentin Spain was a UDFA, Mr. Undrafted. That was his Twitter handle.
There we go.
He was a good starter for us.
Speaking of special teams, Brett, let me throw it to you and ask you, what do you think so far of what you've seen from the new kickoff rule?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. For me, I like the new change because they're trying something different. Last year, I mean, it was just every other kick was pretty much a touchback. This is something new that we're starting to see what they call the dynamic kickoff happening. And I liked it because it adds another element to the game and you get the kickoff in play. I don't know if this is going to fit into what they really want to do, but it's something that kind of can stick around and maybe we'll see something different. And they're trying something that the UFL was trying to do, and I'm all for it. But I don't know. I mean, it's something that could go either way, and it's too early to tell, to be honest with you. But I mean, starting off with the kick, it confuses the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie, especially having the kicker back at the 35-yard line, then having players at the 40 and 35-yard line and 5 yards apart with 2 guys back trying to receive. It's just got a little bit different of an element. And then adding into the fact that you have every player cannot move on the kicking team until the ball is fielded. It's just a little bit strange, but I like that the starting field position has changed from like the 20-yard line to about the 30-yard line. That's what I'm noticing a lot more in these cases. But, I mean, I feel bad for Tyler Bass because all he wants to do is kick that ball out of the end zone. You can tell he wants to kick a field goal so badly and try and make it through the upright. But, yeah, his leg now is not going to be in play as much for long kicks, and he's going to try and have to do the old school squib kick type scenario where you try and pooch kick it into about the 5-yard line. So he's done a pretty good job so far. I mean, we've seen from the first game to the second game a lot better procedural drills from all the teams. And I remember in the first game that they had, the Hall of Fame game, we saw so many procedural drills that needed to be fixed up, and now you're seeing those get fixed, and teams are starting to understand the rules of what they're looking for with this new kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to understand it, go watch the video Jake and I put out on it. It explains it. I've kind of liked what I've seen, but I think teams are holding back. I know, it's all been very vanilla right now, and there's been a few plays. We saw something in the KC. Were they playing last week, Jake? That we showed some film. KC and
Chiefs Jags.
Yeah, the Jags, and the Jags returner made some nice plays. So I think they're holding out, though. We're going to see some things happen, but these special team geniuses are out there and they're waiting for the regular season to start. So can't wait to see that.
I'll tell you a team, real quick. I'll tell you a team that I'm going to be surprised that doesn't come up with some type of scenario is going to be the Miami Dolphins. They have so many different players that they can add into the mix with Devon A. Chain. You add in Raheem Mostert and Tyreek Hill. You can add in Jalen Waddle in those cases, and you can do some reverses and stuff like that, throw it across the field and everything. It's going to be interesting to see what teams decide to do, but don't sleep on the Miami Dolphins to score the first touchdown for this new dynamic kickoff rule.
I mean, Jalen Wright, they may have drafted him in the 4th round because of the return potential with this new rule, because it's going to be hard for him to rotate in that running back lineup when you have guys like Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, and still Jeff Wilson. So maybe that's a whole reason of why they took him in the 4th round. They have just a bunch of track stars on that team as it is, but good point, Brett.
Yeah. Let me say hi to the folks out there in the channel. Appreciate you all joining us tonight. Jessica, always great to see you. Trey, thanks for joining us tonight. Big Al. And yes, we'll answer that question for you in just a second. Should we pick a new number 2 quarterback like Ryan Tannehill? We don't know the knee injury for Mitch. Chad's out there. Good to see you, Chad. Dennis, good to see you as always. And who else? I think that's it right now. I think we catch up. So yeah, and by the way, don't say Tyreek Hill's going to return kicks. You know, Jake and I threw that idea out on our show, and oh my God, everyone's like, "There's no way they're going to put Tyreek Hill out there." I'm saying, hey, look, if it's to go to the Super Bowl and you're down and you need something special,
absolutely,
you'd be dumb not to put Tyreek Hill out on that play. Come on now, let's go. Anyhow, let's get into the game a little bit. Yesterday, again, we get the score. Josh Allen, who was expected to start, doesn't start. And Jake, let me throw it to you to start us off here. You know, let's talk about the offense. We'll all go around the horn a little bit, talk about the offense. Give me some good and give me some bad that you saw in yesterday's game.
Well, the good was definitely the running game. That got established real quick, and I felt like our backs did a hell of a job yesterday, specifically Ray Davis and Frank Gore Jr. I think they both played a fantastic game yesterday. I think Ray Davis had 8 carries for like 58 yards. He looks the part. He looks starter worthy in the NFL. That's how good he actually does look. And, you know, I knew it was going to be a matter of time before this fan base started to really grasp on to just how much of maybe a steal he was in the 4th round. I was a little hesitant at first too, but then I went back, looked at his college career. Every single school he played at, he was productive. And I know it's just college, but I think that means something, especially playing in he played in Power 5 conference schools too. So it's not like he's playing, against poor competition or anything like that. So yeah, to me, it's going to be a really nice 1B to 1A with James Cook and Ray Davis. So really, really happy about that. I think he has solidified that RB2 spot for sure, at least. But then we see another guy competing for a job in Frank Gore Jr. This is a guy that, I definitely think at the end of the day, he'll probably end up as a practice squatter. I would like to see him make the 53-man as our 3rd back, but it's going to be tough to beat out a guy like Ty Johnson or even Darrington Evans, who I thought actually played pretty well too yesterday. So, I think he has a great attitude. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's a little undersized as a back, but I'll tell you what, he makes those defenders pay. I think he had 41 yards yesterday rushing on like 8 carries as well. So averaging over 5 yards a carry. Love to see it. So, yeah, definitely the running game was really, really encouraged by that.
Well, what about your negatives there, Jake? And then let's bring up Sophia's comment here. Per Cover One sources, Trubisky has a torn MCL, out 4 to 6 weeks. MVS sprained neck 4 weeks, and Morris torn pectoral, might be season ending if he can't play through it. Is that Quentin Morris?
Yeah, Quentin Morris. I did see that. That's not great.
Uh-oh.
But that opens up a spot for a guy that I also wanted to mention too. Want to give a shout out to Zach Davidson.
Yeah.
Nice 27-yard catch from him yesterday. That dude can run. He looked fluid with his route running as well. Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Quentin Morris, obviously, because Zach Davidson has been a guy that's been thrown around a little bit on whether he's a 53-man roster-worthy guy as well. So, yeah, thought he played really well. Now, the quarterback play in general was atrocious, and Josh kind of got faked out a little bit. He was supposedly going to play a quarter and a half of this game due to the weather and having a shortened warm-up. Didn't end up playing at all and was just on the sidelines helping coach up the quarterbacks and call some plays. But, yeah, it was just not good. It did not look good. Mitchell Trubisky for the 2nd straight week. The first week it was okay here and there, but this game yesterday was pretty rough. And then of course he leaves with a knee injury. So then we bring in Ben DiNucci, who, he's got some time in the league and he's done some things, but again, the offense just did not look sharp with the passing game at all yesterday. So, am I discouraged? Maybe a little bit, but I think if you are at the point where you have to play your backup quarterback with this Bills roster as it is current day, you're already in a worse position anyways, and you may be mailing it in at that point. If Josh Allen's done for the year, God forbid anything happens to him, I think, you're probably done anyways. There's not going to be any Cinderella stories. It's not going to be a Case Keenum, or Nick Foles type of thing where he leads his team to a championship game or a Super Bowl. So, yeah, it wasn't good. And again, no touchdowns. I mean, we haven't scored a touchdown this preseason. It's atrocious.
Crazy.
And, the red zone offense does not look great. And the offense in general on third down just can't seem to get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it to you, Sean, for talk about the trenches. But before I do, one of the biggest problems I had is that Josh Allen did not play. Why is Josh Allen not playing? There was no concern of the weather. It was fine. And when I see Pat Mahomes out there tuning up with his new toy, Xavier Worthy, throwing some bombs, he played pretty much, I think, the whole first quarter. That was Mahomes throwing behind the back passes. And that was pretty insane, guys. You got to admit, that's pretty cool stuff. I don't think he'd ever chance that in a game, but it was pretty damn good. I mean, he's running to his right and just behind his back, perfectly thrown ball. I feel like they had to have planned that. They had a little bit of fun interviewing both of them. But when I see Patrick Mahomes and these guys are going for the three-peat and he's out there, and we got our starting quarterback on the bench with a team that is so new. We got our offensive line that's different. We got all these different receivers. Why aren't you out there fine-tuning things? I had a problem with that. But I'll throw it to you, Sean, whether you agree with me or not, and then talk about, I know you wanted to get into the trenches a little bit.
Well, first, I just want to say if Josh Allen tried that behind the back pass, everybody would say he's such a, putting the ball in harm's way. He's such a turnover machine. Like, why would you make a play like that? But because Mahomes does it, everyone's like, wow, this is amazing. No one's ever going to do that. So just wanted to put that out there. Second, I also didn't like that because, I feel like the Catalana and Tasker, they've been annoying the hell out of me, honestly. But they were like, yeah, well, they didn't want to risk Josh Allen, but then the rest of the starters go out there. So, you don't care. Like, McDermott doesn't care about them. They just care about Josh Allen. So that's why I'm with you, Mike. I don't think it should be a thing where, the weather's bad, so we don't want to risk him getting injured. But everyone else, yeah, they're disposable. We don't care about them. So I think he still should have played a little bit because you're going to play in a game where it is wet. You're going to play in a game where it's rainy and snowy, and he wasn't going to be running, 10 carries a game like he would normally. He just be dropping back, throwing the ball. So if somehow you got injured doing that, it is what it is. But I think he should have been out there at least for a drive or two. But if they put him out for week 3, then at the end of the day, it's what you got to do. Mahomes and the Chiefs starters, they play every preseason game every year. And, then you go to the Rams and they don't play any preseason games for their starters, which is fine. But I still think you should play a little bit. I also didn't like making Tyler Bass kick a 26, 27, and 30-yard field goal when people need to get reps. Like, that's the dumbest thing I ever saw in a preseason game. If you can't make a 35-yard field goal or less, then you shouldn't be kicking in the NFL. And it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. And I thought it was dumb because, again, the score of a preseason game doesn't matter, right? So why aren't you putting in a red zone or close to the red zone your backups or people making the roster spot in there to make a play to maybe score a touchdown or to extend the drive? Why are we putting our kicker out there for 26-yard field goal? That was another thing I didn't like. Like Jake said, the running was good. The trenches was okay. It still was Edwards sucks, and it was just wishy-washy. It wasn't great. Wasn't horrible. Better than last week, especially in running and run blocking. The second team did much better. Overall, everybody in the second team did much better. Except Alec Anderson still, like Jake said the other day, he's just not the guy. I don't know what is wrong with Cromer and the rest of the staff. Where you saw what happened last week. A guy didn't do anything well. Then a guy behind him did everything well. The guy that did everything well didn't get another opportunity to get second team reps. But the guy that failed at doing his job continued to get second team reps. Still didn't do good. And then the guy behind him again dominated a third team. And then everybody says, "Oh, well, it's the third team. What are you going to do? He should be doing that." Well, yeah, he's already been beneath that because he was going against people in college better than third teamers in preseason games. So I don't like that Van Pran's not getting a second chance at any second team reps. But trench play overall was much better. Still, it wasn't where it needs to be. Torrance just looks horrible. I think just compared to what he was last year, it just looks horrible. Dawkins had a pretty good day, again, Edwards isn't the answer. He isn't the future, and he's not that good. So, and we're going to see that as the weeks go, and it's really aggravating. But it is what it is. They don't see what some of us see in Van Pran, and they're not gonna give him the chance. But other than that, the receivers don't do much. The tight ends didn't do much because, again, I don't expect anything from backup quarterbacks. They all stink to me. There might be one or two in the NFL that might be able to go win you a few games. But at the end of the day, you're not going to put a backup quarterback in and go beat the Chiefs and go beat the Ravens and go beat the Dolphins, go beat the Jets. So at the end of the day, I'm not, Twitter goes in an uproar about, oh my God, Mr. Trubisky's so bad. I want Kyle Allen. No, you don't. Kyle Allen's, you put Jake out there, is better than Kyle Allen at the end of the day.
No.
He's horrible. Like I would even put a freshman from the a JUCO school to go play quarterback.
No, all right, Sean. Listen, there's still NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's an NFL quarterback, but
compared to his colleagues,
when you compare to his colleagues, they're trash. And who's to say that a JUCO player can't make it to the NFL either? So he's on the track to go to the NFL. But
Josh Allen was a JUCO player.
But at the end of the day, like, people are getting pissed off over backup quarterbacks. They stink. Like why waste energy on, oh, Mitch Trubisky's so bad? Yeah, that's why he's a backup quarterback fighting for a backup position. He's not fighting for a starting job. So relax. If Josh is hurt anyway, we're going to lose every game. So he's 85% of your offense. So if he gets down, it doesn't matter anyway. So
yeah. So let me circle around to Big Al's question. But one of the things I agree with you. I thought the first. I'm getting a little concerned. The first team O-line, they were getting destroyed. I thought all of them except for Deion Dawkins. I thought they all were struggling. I mean, if you go rewatch the game, it looked bad. Torrance, McGovern, Spencer Brown, David Edwards, and they didn't even have TJ Watt in there. Imagine if they had TJ Watt in there. I mean, it would just been horrible.
Didn't even have their starters out there for more than a drive on defensive line.
It was rough. So I'm concerned about that O-line, the first team. And Jake, let me throw it back to you because, look, I know Mitch was bad, but is that a product of the play calling? Is that a product of what they're not planning, supposedly, not game planning. They're not wanting to show any of their playbook, which is what we hear. But I'll tell you what, Mitch, on a lot of occasions, he had some time, but there was times he did not have any time at all. And I'm not sure I saw much separation on any of the throws he tried to make. There was one that he overthrew, the one that was intercepted, where he, again, I don't know. I'm a little concerned because the top O-line has not looked good. And again, I don't know if that's all on Mitch. I don't. But let me throw it to you to answer Big L's question. And let me bring it back up.
Yeah.
Should we pick up a new number 2? And obviously we should now because of what we just heard from Sophia. Ryan Tannehill, we don't know the knee injury from it. So what can you say to Big L?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I would like to get a guy like Ryan Tannehill. I mean, it's a good insurance policy, but it sounds like Ryan Tannehill is waiting for his opportunity, potentially like mid-season, to go play for a team and start. I think he's too good at this point. I mean, he was a backup in Tennessee last year, right, to Will Levis. But I think he wants to start somewhere. I think that's why he hasn't actually signed with anyone just yet. I think he's just kind of biding his time, and maybe a team will come calling, and he'll be that wily old vet that signs and takes a team. He can do some things still. He's not an atrocious quarterback by any means. Like Sean says, all backups are right. So, right. Yes. So no, I don't think there's a chance that the Bills will go ahead and sign a guy like that. Now, if there is a guy to maybe think about bringing back in, Sir Matthew Barkley, he knows the system. He could compete for that backup spot. That's all I got, though. That's all I got.
So wait a minute. Is Tannehill unsigned right now? Is he out there?
He's a free agent.
Just waiting to get that call.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to get a call at the very least. I would think. We'll see if we hear anything about it.
It'll be a call for a minimum $10 million.
I mean, yeah, whatever he's taking. But I think he'll at least get a call. We'll have a conversation. But besides Tannehill, though, we got to bring somebody in. I wouldn't say Barkley, but Who are you going to bring in? Is there anyone else out there that you can think of?
Fitzy up.
Brett,
Wow.
yeah, Fritzy. Brett, you're shaking your head. You got somebody that you can call on the speed dial?
Yeah. I mean, I'll put him on speed dial right now. He just has to get cut by his team, but I'll throw one out there. You got to add in Taylor Heineke.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I'm just throwing it out there. Taylor Heineke, he's the third string quarterback right now for the Atlanta Falcons, and you add him to the mix if the Falcons decide to keep Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, depending on that race, they could move one of those guys, and then Heineke could be the backup. But from what I'm hearing, I mean, it's going to be Kirk Cousins' show this year, and then Michael Penix will be behind him, learning the ropes, and possibly in another year they decide to move on. But with the news of J.J. McCarthy's injury and being out for the whole entire season, Kirk Cousins could become expendable, and he could go back to the Minnesota Vikings. That's another story that's been floated around quite a bit. So
that's crazy.
As much as I don't think that's going to happen, I think that there's too much money on the table for Kirk and the Atlanta Falcons. They won't want to move on from that contract. But add in Taylor Heineke to the mix, and he has so much experience as a quarterback, being a starter for the Washington Commanders, and I think he would be a great fit for this team. And we just need somebody that's a proven quarterback that can go into games and isn't afraid to throw the ball. And that's what I'm noticing from these quarterbacks that we've had on the roster over the last few weeks is Mitch Trubisky holds onto the ball a little bit too long, number one. Number two, he's more of a check down quarterback. We need somebody that can go into the game and isn't afraid to throw the ball into tough situations. And that's what I haven't seen from any of the quarterbacks. And maybe that's something that Joe Brady is instilling in the team right now is don't take a unnecessary risk. And then you can take necessary risks in the regular season. But I need to see something from the team. You've seen Patrick Mahomes take some risks in the preseason. Let's take a risk now. You're not going to lose anything if you do.
Yeah,
Mike,
I mean,
can I just comment a couple of Jessica's comments quick?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Which ones do you want to bring up?
Oh, the first one about getting rid of Elam. When I said that on a show, I said if we're not going to give him opportunities and use him on our team, trade him while he's worth something because we need assets. I don't actually want to get rid of him, but if we weren't going to use him and he's just going to sit on the bench, it'd be a waste of an asset. And then I need to change my name to Mr. Negative. I'd like to know why me and having an opinion and being realistic is a negative take. And then judge the team after week one. You trust Cromer. It's not that we don't trust them. It's just that if they're playing bad, I'm not going to say they're playing good just because it's not week one yet. If they're playing horrible, it's my duty as a creator to say that they're not playing good. And again, I'm always the unpopular one because I try to be two sides of the coin type of person. And I get it's not popular, but that's fine. I'm always going to say if they're playing bad, they're playing bad. If they're playing good, they're playing good. And some people might think that's not how you should do things, but that's just how I am. So hopefully week one, they're fine. But if they're not, I don't want to hear people say, oh, it's only week one. And that's what they did last year. And then we started 6-6. So that's all. But as far as a backup quarterback, again, the guys that are worth anything, they're going to cost money. And we have $7 million in cap. We could have got Justin Simmons. We chose not to. They're not going to spend $7 million and bring in Ryan Tannehill. And Ryan Tannehill wants to be on a team where he's going to be a starter. And that's why he's waiting. That's why he's not signing with a team, because he doesn't want to be a backup. He wants to be a starter. So he's going to wait till someone goes down. Then he's going to say, hey, whenever team lost their starting quarterback, I'm ready to go. I've been training. Okay, Ryan, come on in. Or he might be done playing. Who knows? But again, people are going to get cut. There's going to be 40-something people from each team cut in a week or two, and then you could pick a quarterback from there. But you could probably ride with Ben DiNucci the last preseason game, and if he goes down, you put Josh in, or you just run the football the entire time. So it's like they're going to get through it. It's not a big deal, and Mitch will be back eventually. It's a MCL sprain, right, according to Cover One. So he'll be back in a couple weeks.
So I was saying 4 to 6
4 to 6. And
people forget too. I mean, Ben DiNucci did start a game with the Cowboys. This is a couple of years ago. It wasn't a pretty game by any means, but he does have experience. He's bounced around a little bit. He was Denver's backup quarterback last year, and he spent some time in the league. So it's not like he's a complete nobody, right? Like
he started
serviceable. You know,
like even the Patriots.
Not saying he's the answer, but yeah.
Even the Patriots, they got 4 quarterbacks. They're not going to roster 4 quarterbacks. So
true. Well, I mean, Brett said it. The Atlanta Falcons, Taylor Heineke. I would love it. Taylor Heineke is a better quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky, in my opinion, right now. Like, I think.
Yeah. Who's your 4th quarterback?
He's one of those. So they have 3 Atlanta. They have.
They'll put one on the practice squad.
Right. Well, yeah, he could go to the practice squad, or I mean, to me, like Taylor Heineke is a quarterback too in the NFL. He's a fringe, he's a fringe guy who can actually start and win some games. He's like a Gardner Minshew type of guy, So
I agree.
Yeah, I actually like that name a lot, Brett. That's a good one right there.
He's one of the handful. When I said there's like 2 or 3 backup quarterbacks that could probably win you a game or 2, he's one of them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'd want to even get rid of him. They might. I mean, he's been in the league for more than 4 years, so he doesn't have to go through waivers.
Mm-hmm.
So he might just stay there. If he feels like he can be in a different position elsewhere, then maybe. But I don't know. I just think they're fine with Mitch. He's going to come back in a few weeks. They're going to ride with DiNucci, and then they might just say, "Hey, DiNucci, you're the backup." But they'll probably bring someone in just in case. I don't know who's available, but I mean, even if it's Matt Barkley, like just to play in a preseason game. But I'm just not anticipating, anything. Again, knock on wood, but our quarterback's been a tough as nails type guy, even playing with, elbow injury on his throwing arm, shoulder injury on his throwing arm, and he's played through the entire season, since his rookie year. So he's a durable guy, and I have confidence that he's going to be ready for the season, take care of his body. Not during the game, he'll take hits, of course, but he'll take care of his body, and then he'll play the season, and it's all going to be a talk for nothing about worrying about backup quarterback.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Brett, though. So this is something I was thinking about. These quarterbacks, whether they're second or third stringers, and I don't know what it is. I mean, they've played quarterback all their lives. And if they get into a game, I would hope that, it's preseason. Let's see what these guys can do. Sling the ball, man. Just throw it. Run some plays and throw the ball. If you get it picked off, it's preseason. Who cares? You show your arm. Like, I know. If I was being a quarterback and I got thrown in the game and I was the third stringer, this is my time to shine. Coach calls in a play. I'm like, Coach, do I have an option to counter with a pass play? I would hope they're not just saying, hand the ball off, right, hand the ball off low. I would hope not.
I saw so many Trent Edwards memes yesterday of him being, Mitchell compared to Trent Edwards. It was absolutely hilarious. Didn't think I'd ever see that name circulated again here. Shout out to Trent Edwards. Good times, man. Good times. Captain check out.
But
at the end of the day,
throw the ball.
Mitch Trubisky's won games in the NFL, so like I'm fine with being a backup quarterback. I don't know why just that turned people off so bad. Him playing bad in the preseason, like he's not an amazing quarterback. He's a good backup, but he started for the Bears, won some games. He went to the playoffs, I even think.
Yeah.
And
he did.
They missed a field goal. They would have went to the divisional round. So he's led a team to the playoffs. So
Chicago ruined Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, Chicago
Mitchell had a promising career at one point. Like it looked like things were going well, and they absolutely ruined him there. So I don't put all it.
Too is like Mitch is mobile too, just like Josh. Not like him, but he can run the ball. So when you have a backup quarterback, you want him to be somewhat the same skill set of your starter. So when he goes in, if he has to, you don't have to change your entire offense. Like look at the Ravens.
Right. Lamar's
backup is the same play style as Lamar. He's not as good as Lamar, but he's the same play style. So when he goes in, when Lamar gets hurt, the offense doesn't miss a beat. They can go score the same amount of points. They can go win the same amount of games. It's just how you want to be as closely related to your starter as possible. But yeah, I mean.
By the way, put some respect on Josh Johnson's name. He's 38 years old. He's playing with his 15th team, and he went 11 for 11 the other night. I think he threw 2 touchdowns, 1 or 2 touchdowns.
One, yeah.
That looks unbelievable. They no longer have Tyler Huntley. He is now with the Cleveland Browns. Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley.
Oh, and The Cleveland's got 4 quarterbacks too, I think.
They do, yeah. I was just thinking about that. Yeah, the Browns as well. They're in the same situation.
We'll be fine with that position, guys. Just worry.
Yeah. To your point, Sean, I think, I mean, again, like I said, maybe you can't put it on Mitch. I mean, if they're not game planning, they don't look like they're game planning. They're running the ball. The O-line was just atrocious for them, especially the first liners. So I don't know. Don't put it all on them. And I'm with you. Mitch has won some games. It was funny. My son and I were talking on the way to McDonald's to get him some food tonight. And we were like, Mitch was a 2nd-round pick in 2017, and Pat Mahomes was taken at number 10. That's just got to sting a little bit if you're a Bears fan. But I think they're happy with their, the pick now. They've waited long enough, and Caleb Williams looks like the real deal. Chad, we appreciate you, sir, so much.
Holy smokes, thank you.
Question for everyone. Thanks for the super chat. Is there a player team that has impressed or surprised you so far in the preseason? Any team player that has disappointed in the preseason? So, Jake, I'll let you take it first.
That's a very good question. I gotta say, I hate to even talk about another divisional team, but I was watching some of that New England game the other night. Drake May looked pretty good. He kind of started to look the part. He had a rushing touchdown. Caleb Williams is another name that comes to mind, but definitely Caleb has looked pretty damn good. Drake May, I know that's kind of a boring answer because of the first round quarterbacks, right? 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 rather. So I would say those guys. And then, if you're talking about Buffalo Bills players in particular, I would say my guy, Ray Davis, huge fan, and Javon Solomon. Got to give a shout out to Javon Solomon.
Jake, real quick, wasn't the knock on Solomon was that he's not great in run defense? Was that? Yeah. And that's one thing I noticed the most about him was he's pretty good. So I was watching the game. I was like, I'm pretty sure that was one of his pre-draft knocks on him was that he's not good in run defense. And I was like, well, I guess, people can be wrong. So he looks pretty good, but
he does.
Chad, I only have time for the Bills, my friends, so I don't get to watch all of them unless I catch a highlight here or there. And, of course, Weston's always keeping me up to date on what your Chiefs are doing. So I get all the highlights there in our Discord. And, again, shout out to our Discord. It's free to join. We talk sports 7 days a week. If there was somebody that has underwhelmed me so far, again, for the Bills, and, again, we're going to talk about defense in a second, which I think the defense just all been, fantastic through 2 games, more positives than I've seen on the offense. But I don't know, another game from AJ Epinesa that he didn't flash to me. I'm a little concerned what's going on there. I mean, that's just a guy that we have high hopes for. And again, it's just preseason, but still we see Group flashing. We saw Group flash. But what's going on with AJ Epinesa? I hope he's not, he has these moments where he flashes for a few games and then he goes silent. I mean, am I off there, Jake?
No, I'm 100% with you there. I mean, I just talked about Javon Solomon. He looks 10 times better than AJ Epinesa right now. Dwayne Smoot looks better than AJ Epinesa. Like he is
good. He's made some good plays too.
Yeah. I mean, he is, right now to me, he's not the starting defensive end on this team. I think you probably roll with Dwayne Smoot, if anyone. And then Javon Solomon obviously be rotational, and same with AJ Epinesa, which I'm upset about that because I wanted AJ Epinesa to get more than 60% of the snaps at the defensive end position. I knew it was a matter of time before we were just rotating guys in and out, but at the very least, maybe he could be like the main guy there, and I just don't see that happening based on his play.
Yeah. Big L. Yes, Jake and I on our last show last week, we must not have caught you, but we talked about that where in those 90s, in the Super Bowl years, we never had a winning preseason. So, definitely hear you there.
There's certainly no science behind it because, like I said, some teams don't play their starters ever. Some of them do. Some of them win all the time and lose all the time. It's probably like the hardest thing in the world to have an actual study on where it's like, what's the real good recipe for a positive regular season? So that's a good point.
Great question, though, Chad. Great question. I love it. And thanks again for the super chat.
Yeah.
Jessica, Sophia, I got to ask you because you two always have some good takes here on Bills players. What's your thoughts on AJ? Throwing it out there. What's your thoughts on Epinesa? Any concerns there yet, or you're just like, no, let's trust what happens in the season? Brett, I didn't go to you yet. Real quick, so we can finish off the offense. Was there anything you wanted to mention on the offensive side of the ball? Any negatives or good things you saw that we haven't talked about already?
Yeah, for me, I mean, we talked a lot about the number one, the quarterback play. We talked about the run game and everything. I want to talk about the pass blocking. What I noticed from the offensive line, they were absolutely atrocious in pass blocking. I think everybody could have done a lot better job up front, especially the number one guys. I mean, it just seemed like they weren't getting the wins in the trenches there. They did a good job in the run game, and I credit Aaron Cromer for cleaning that up. But next week is where I want to see the run game be the passing game be a lot better. And you're going up against the Carolina Panthers, who have Derek Brown, one of the better defensive linemen in the NFL. He had over 100 tackles last year. I want to see them clean this up, and especially against a Carolina Panthers team that doesn't really have a lot of pass rushers out there. I want to see what they can do and what they can bring in. But overall, I mean, the other thing that I want to say is just the wide receivers weren't getting a lot of separation yesterday. And, I take that into effect. I mean, Keon Coleman, yes, he had one good catch and everything, but I want to see a little bit more out of this wide receiver group. And I want to see Joe Brady kind of open up this offense. Don't really give away what you're trying to do, but make something happen out there. And let's see the offense open up a little bit and give these quarterbacks a chance to really throw the ball down the field. And hopefully we'll see that this week.
Yeah, Brett, that's what I was kind of saying. Maybe it was not all on Mitch. Sophia, I love that. Hope Epinesa is holding back. He's been on a milk carton so far. All right. Well, we've talked enough about the offense. I think we needed to talk more about the offense because that's where things we said it to top things off. We haven't had a touchdown yet. The first line has just looked rough. But let's switch over to the defense where I think there's a lot more positives going on. And Jake, I'll start with you. Let's start with your positives. We'll go around the horn on positives, and then we'll finish on some of the negatives. Not a whole lot of those, but start with the positives, my friend.
The D-line, baby. We talked about it. It's like, what are your expectations heading into this week? I don't know if I talked with you about it, Mike, or someone else. I was doing keys to the game with some of my other buddies, too, and I just said, I want to see a better performance from the defensive line. And I'll tell you what, everyone really seemed to eat, besides A.J. Epinesa, who we just mentioned. I mean, you talk about even Kingsley Jonathan, who came off maybe his worst game as a pro last week, ends up recording 2 tackles and a sack and a quarterback hit, I think, as well in a hurry. So he had a nice day yesterday. Javon Solomon, he did fantastic. Obviously, Groot, what a phenomenal day. And then here's my rebuttal to Jessica's comment. So, I mean, you're telling me A.J. Epinesa, he's protecting himself. But Groot went out there and he had 2.5 sacks and 4 tackles. So that's your starting defensive end. I think that's the tone you have to set, right? So I understand where you're coming from with that, but I need to see some more from him because he is in a competition right now with Dwayne Smoot, in my opinion, to be that starting defensive end on the other side. So, I mean, the D-line really ate up. Eddie Oliver had a nice day. I thought Dwayne Carter had some nice reps as well. Even Deshaun Williams, too. I thought he had a decent game. The defensive line looked great. I thought across the board, obviously, Joe Andreessen and Jamarcus Ingram, those were the 2 stars of the defense yesterday. 2 UB guys. Got to give them both shout-outs. And did a hell of a job on 3rd and 4th down yesterday, boys. I mean, just a really bend, don't break mentality with the defense, only allowing 3 points. I mean, we made them earn every single yard. So that's what you love to see. And again, Sean McDermott against mobile quarterbacks, pretty good track record.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a competition between Russell Wilson, who they had starting, and then what's his name?
Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields. And I think at least the broadcast I was watching last night, they're like, if I had to choose between the two, I have to take Fields just because of what he brings with his running ability. What do you think, Sean? Do you think between those two, who gets to start there in your mind?
No idea. Probably Russ, just because he's more of a veteran than Fields. And and Fields has a future. So I think they'll go with Russ, and if it's not working out, Tomlin won't care about benching him, and then he'll put Fields in, and then they'll ride with Fields, and then go with him next year. But I don't think it would be wrong. I don't think it'd be wrong either way. People forget that Russell Wilson had 26 touchdown passes last year, and Josh Allen had 29 touchdown passes. So he had a pretty good year throwing the football. Yeah, the team wasn't good, but people underestimate how pretty good of a year Russell Wilson had, especially after the year before had one of the worst seasons as a quarterback. So, and his interceptions, I think, were down, quite a bit too. So
8 interceptions only, 26.
26 passing touchdowns. Obviously, he doesn't have, the rushing ability Allen does, where he can put up 40 touchdowns for you. But still, if my quarterback wasn't a mobile quarterback and he's throwing 26 touchdowns, that's not bad. So that would be enough for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh with that defense, that'll be enough for them to go 9-8 again, make the playoffs, lose the first round, and wrap it up for the season. But
keep the streak alive.
Yeah.
But I think Fields has promise too.
Yeah. My point there of even asking that is just that, think about it. We held them to 3 points, and those are 2 solid quarterbacks. I mean, we got a Super Bowl winner there, and Russell Wilson should have had a second one. We were talking about that recently with my son.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about that. And then you got was he the first overall? Was Fields the first overall taken?
No,
QB?
he was like 7th or something.
Seventh,
like that.
okay. First rounder though. And so again, for us to hold them to 3 points, pretty damn good. So back to you, Sean, on the defensive side, some of the good you saw.
Yeah, well, Jake said it already. The UB guys, Ingram started some games for us. He's a hard hitter. I like how he plays the game. And again, Andreessen, even if he never plays another snap, for this team, if he gets picked up by someone else, what an experience and what a game he had. That was nothing short of a great game, fantastic game. Again, like I said, I love his fundamentals. He's a perfect linebacker. Like when you build a linebacker in a factory, that's who Andreessen is. I'm just saying, I want to see him on the practice squad. I want him to develop more, and then he could be a starter in the future. I just don't see. I don't want to put him on the team just because he's a Buffalo guy, and I think that's what a lot of people assume that McDermott's going to do. And if he earns it, if someone gets injured and he does that again next week, then awesome. But if they're just thinking like, yeah, I'm scared someone else is going to take him, I don't appreciate that. If a player has an opportunity to get picked up by a different team and play significant snaps when he wouldn't on your team, and you want to hold him just because you're scared someone else is going to take him, I don't like that. So if the kid earned it and someone else wants him, I hope he can get the opportunity. But I think we have no problem bringing him back to the practice squad. I think he'll clear waivers, and then someone will get injured eventually. Probably it's just how the season goes, bumps and bruises, and he might play. So I think he has a bright future ahead of him. He's got the great instincts and a lot of good fundamentals, which is all you need. So awesome to see that from him. Again, the D line was great, but I was talking to Mike earlier. Like Broderick Jones is not a good right tackle. He wasn't a good right tackle last year. He was 14th overall pick, but he's just not that good. And Rousseau, humiliated him. But then when Solomon went in right after Rousseau, he was beating them pretty good too. He didn't get the sacks and stuff, but he was bullying him as well. So again, I know I sound like the negative one, but we're going to play a lot better offensive linemen than Broderick Jones and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's great to see, because you should be doing that against teams that are lesser than you. But again, fantastic. Love what I saw from the entire starting defensive line minus AJ. And I think maybe it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say, because I was high on AJ, and hopefully this was a year where he can get more than 30% of the snaps, like Jake was saying, and then step up, because I think he's got a better pass rushing arsenal than Rousseau does. I think he can produce at a high level. He's quicker off the ball, and he's got insane speed and insane moves. So I was hoping for that, but if he's not producing, then you shouldn't be playing. So we'll give him the chance. If week 1 he's not producing, you got Miller and Smoot, Solomon. So at least we got horses in the stable if he doesn't play well. But yeah, defensively, Teron Johnson, fantastic. And I'll save a couple for Brett. Yeah. But I thought Johnson was really good.
when he's in there, man, he's just so solid. It's so solid. Was tackling, his coverage, it's fantastic. I mean, I'll throw it to you here in a second, there, Brett. But all around, it's hard to find any negative. Honestly, it's just pretty much all positives. The cornerback situation looks fantastic. Those guys were incredible, including Daquan Hardy, who should have had a couple picks late in that game, right? Just right through his hands. And of course, we're looking for him to be something special in the return game. But I won't throw any more out there, Brett, until I go to you first, so I don't steal them all. But more positives on that defense, man. What you got?
I mean, for me, I'm going to say the run defense. I absolutely love the difference in what we did from week 1 to week 2 there. Gap integrity, a lot of gap integrity that I've seen inside. But on the outside, also maintaining your gaps a little bit better in this game. I felt like in the first game against the Chicago Bears, we kind of got a little bit bullied around out there too much. And I noticed a much cleaner game from the defensive line all the way around. So I commend Bobby Babich for cleaning up that side of the ball. I don't know who called the plays this week, though, but I assume that it was going to be Sean McDermott calling the plays this week. And I felt like the play calls were a lot cleaner if it was McDermott than it Babich. And that's not anything bad to say about what Bobby Babich did last week. I think that it might have been a little bit more of a mixture of plays, and I commend both of them. But as you said, Sean and Jake, Joe Andreessen was the main focal point of what we saw on defense, and I got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, he looked incredible out there, 12 tackles, as you mentioned, and the 2 tackles for loss. But this defense, yes, it's going to take some hits with Matt Milano being out, but I think this defense is going to be fine. We've already missed Milano last season, and Dorian Williams is going to clean up. I'm going to promise you that. He's going into year 2, and he's going to look a lot better than he did in year 1. And you add into the fact you have a healthy Von Miller, who we haven't seen on the field, and I wish that they would have brought him onto the field this week. I think that this was the time to do it. But this defense is going to look really good, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills set the record for most sacks this season by the team.
I love that. Nice. I love that. So, yeah, I was going to shout out Dorian Williams as well. I mean, Andreessen obviously was the star of the show, but I thought Dorian Williams had a really good game. So, D-line, linebacker, corners, the one unit we've all been concerned about is the safety room, right? Losing Hyde and Poyer. And I mean, yesterday, a kid that keeps, I don't know, shining to me is Kendall Williamson. I think he looks pretty good. He's a big guy. Jake, he's 6 foot, 200 pounds. I like those 6 foot, 200 pound safeties. But, talk to me, Jake, about the safety, because I think that's really the biggest concern on this defense, aside from losing Milano. Don't get me wrong. That's a huge loss. That's going to be difficult to overcome. But in the safety room, you see anything that you're liking? What'd you see yesterday?
It's been kind of stale. I think out of everyone, that we could potentially mention, you hit the nail on the head. Kendall Williamson, for sure, has stood out to me. I know Kareem Jackson was in there a little bit yesterday, too. The thing with Kareem Jackson is that he does have that starting experience. He's been in the league for, I think, 12 years now, and he's been starting as of recent. 15?
15 years, yep.
He's like
longer than I thought.
Like Cam Jordan and Clay.
Well, he is what? He is 36. He is 36.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Wow. That's crazy. I don't know where my mind is right now. Yeah, 2010 it would have been, right? Yeah, so that makes sense. Wow. Kareem Jackson. There you go. So, I mean, I know he's a dirty player and whatnot, but I think, just the fact that he has that veteran tag for him, and he's still playing at a somewhat decent level, there's a chance that he can make the team as that other safety. But, yeah, I really think it's a battle between him and Kendall Williamson for that final safety spot. I think right now, obviously, Taylor Rapp, Damar Hamlin, Cole Bishop, Mike Edwards, and then who's it going to be for the 5th guy? Because, obviously, Cole Bishop out with an injury right now, and Mike Edwards. So that's what
has anyone heard any updates on them?
So both of them are starting to do team or individual drills. So that's the good news. But we haven't seen them back out there on the field yet. Just light work, doing the individual work, but they do have the red jerseys on. But Jake, I do want to go back to your point that you made earlier about the safety position. I mean, it is very stale. We haven't seen anything out of them. And when I saw on the field, I saw number 27 come out there, and I'm like, oh my God, Tre'Davious White's back on the field. Oh wait, that's Kareem Jackson. I'm like, damn it, man. I got so disappointed. I'm like, that's got to be Tre'Davious White out there, man. He's going to be flying across the field trying to make that tackle. I got so excited, but it hurt, and it made me cry a little bit. I'm not going to lie, as a Bills fan, to see that number 27 back out there on the field. I think that Tre'Davious represented Buffalo very well and will definitely be missed. But now the new era of number 27 coming out there on the field with Kareem Jackson, he's going to have to live up to the name. But I do want to say this real quick before I turn it over to everybody else. When it comes to the safety position, that the position is so iconic in Buffalo. We've had so many good players that have played the safety position. And you go back to not only Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, but George Wilson, Jarris Byrd, Aaron Williams. You can add into the mix the 90s and even the 80s players that were there as well.
George Sames.
Yeah.
There you go.
These safeties are going to have to live up to those names that played before them. And you add in Mark Kelso as well, Jessica. That's a very good point. This safety room has to live up to those players, and I'm not worried about the safety position whatsoever. Whoever's going to be out there on the field, whether it's Damar Hamlin or it's going to be Mike Edwards, Cole Bishop, whatever the case is, it's going to be fine. Trust me on this. The safeties live and breed in Buffalo. We are the safety U for some reason. That's what we're good at. And Sean McDermott is good at breeding cornerbacks and safeties and defensive backs. He'll get the job done. I'm not worried about it whatsoever.
Well,
On top of that, safety is like the least important position on the field on the defense. If you had to pick one, like all positions are important, but defensive line is most important. Then it's corners and it's linebackers. So safety is that one position where it's like that's the one you'd prefer to lack in, because if you have great corners and a great defensive line, if you want to be really simple, all safeties are is help.
Right.
Or if you're a strong safety, you go into the box and you're a run support. But really, we're going to be in a zone the entire time. We're never going to play man. We're hardly ever going to play man. And we're going to be cover two for the most part. And then they're just roaming and they're helping out. So if you can't cover as a safety in the NFL, again, what are you doing? So I'm not concerned. I'm confident if Damar Hamlin went out there and Taylor Rapp, again, starter in the Super Bowl, people always tell me, oh, well, Edwards was a starter for the Rams in the Super Bowl, so he's going to automatically be good. So let's keep the same energy for our guy Taylor Rapp. He didn't play as a starter last year, but as he got more playing time, he looked better and better. So if he's a starter, I'm confident in his abilities to be a strong safety. And whoever's the old Mike Hyde role, I'm confident in them too. Not taking away from what they've done, but if we had no Von Miller, no Greg Rousseau, no A.J. Epinesa, we just had the Panthers defensive line, then I'd be like, oh crap, we're in trouble. But if you got guys that are getting home and getting pressure, the safety position is something that you can kind of like plug and play for the most part. And that's just my opinion, because I think the other positions hold more weight. You guys probably don't agree with me, and I'm again the negative person in the group, but
damn you.
I think these guys are going to go out there and be fine. And
damn you, Mr. Negative. No,
yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I think I'm good for Rapp. I'm not concerned about Rapp absolutely at all. I mean, the fact that he had a full season with us last year is makes me feel even that much better. It's just the opposite of him. And I think, with Cole Bishop coming back, was that Mike Edwards, all those things. I think we're going to be fine. Damar Hamlin. And of course, some of the guys I just mentioned today. But I have a real quick question, Jessica, and this is a little trivia for you, Jake. What was Mark Kelso's nickname?
Mark Kelso's nickname.
So he was known for putting that big bubble over the helmet, big protection over the helmet. What'd we call him? What'd we call him back then? I'm just
I'm
going to
gonna say
ask, do
Jake.
any of you know?
No.
I mean, this is going to take you
Jake-
back.
I definitely I know, like, if you say what it
Jake
is,
will get it.
I
No,
Jake
I'm
will
going to take
get
you
it, I
back to
believe
your
in him.
Flintstones. You got to go back Flintstones for this now. Come on, people. I'm dating myself, but the Flintstones were one of the best cartoons ever.
It was, yeah.
And
Give Jake a minute or two. He'll get it. I know. I
I'll
believe
think
in him.
about it. I'll think about it.
There's not one Bills thing Jake doesn't know.
This might be it. I might have found
there's been
it.
some tough ones, you know.
Q-tip. I love that from Sophia. Good guess. Not it.
That's
Not it.
hilarious.
No.
I love that.
Bam Bam. I love it. That is a character on the Flintstones. There it
The
is. James
Gazoo.
Payne, the great
Damn,
Gazoo.
I actually did not know that.
The
Wow.
great
Hand up.
Gazoo.
He
Yeah.
stumped.
I did not know
He
that.
stumped Jake.
Some Jake.
It was a little green
Great
Martian, had a big helmet. And again,
That's right.
Flintstones. If you haven't seen
Gazoo.
the Flintstones, go check it
James.
out. Go find it.
Hell yeah, James. Okay.
James, good job. Good
I didn't
job.
actually know that. I actually did not know that one. Hand up. That's tough. Mark Kelso was a good player, man. He was a really good player.
He really was. He was solid. Like Brett said, we've had a great history of solid safeties for sure. So good stuff. Hey, I always forget to ask you folks out there, if you would be so kind, please smash that like button for us right now. Just take a second. It's free. It costs you nothing. We appreciate it. And if you're new to our channel, drop a nickel on that subscribe button. And again, we really do appreciate you. I'm laughing over the Q-tip. I think that is extremely
I
funny.
think that's a better
That's a
nickel.
great one. I
I
love
love
that.
That's a better one.
No, Gazoo was such a good character on the Flintstones. I mean, he wasn't there the whole time. You know, he came in and it ran for quite some time while he was there. Dude was funny. It's just a funny character. So anyhow, I'm glad
That's
that I got to
great.
see that time. Great Gazoo for sure.
Hey, I do want to do an exercise too, because
Yeah.
we're talking about the linebacker position, right? So who said it?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Sophia. Yeah, so I want to pull this up, Sophia. Thank you for the comment here. So she was saying Andreessen was the Mike linebacker yesterday. He played well. He played as well as Bernard. You make room for him on the 53-man. So if you are to make room for him on the 53-man, let's do this exercise, because let's talk about the linebackers that we would keep right now. If it was, based
Before
on
you
right
get
now,
into it,
right?
Jake, we got to remember, if Morris does have a torn pec, that's a special team spot that's going to be missing. And if Andreessen can't play special teams, you have to put Balen Spector over him. So let's just play as Davidson makes the team as a third tight end. He's out for the year, and Davidson also can't play special teams. And then pick your linebacking core based on Quentin Morris being out for the year. Even he might not be. He might not be, but in the event that he is, we'll play.
So the Bills had 6 linebackers on their squad last year. They kept 6. So I think there could be an opportunity here, just because if we do keep 6, if that's the magic number again, and you're accounting for Balen Spector too, obviously being that dual purpose player where he can play specials and play regular defense, of course. I think there's an opportunity here, because you think Matt Milano probably going to be on the IR list with like a designation to return at some point. Yeah. So he'll be out of the mix, right? So you have Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, presumably as your starters. So those are 2. Then you have Balen Spector, Eddie Olafoshio. I think you got to keep him, obviously.
Special team,
Nick Morrow.
And then it's between like Nick Morrow, Deion Jones, Shane Simon, and Joe Andreessen.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Nick Morrow.
Yeah, he's definitely competing. I feel like Morrow's I think he's going to make the team. He was a starter last year. So I think it's between Deion Jones and Andreessen, and that's really I think it's just between them two, to be honest.
Deion Jones looks comfortable too. Like, people forget, I mean, this is a Pro Bowl linebacker a few years ago. Like, he was banged up. He had some unfortunate injuries, but he used to be a really, really good player in this league. Like back in 2020, 2021, this dude was a Pro Bowl linebacker with the Falcons. So, a little bit older now. Injuries obviously have caught up, but he looked comfortable yesterday too. So don't sleep on Deion Jones. Yeah. But I think there's a chance. There's definitely a chance.
Yeah. There's definitely a path for him, and if he makes it, that'd be even better. Because like I said, there's a lot of great things about him, and I'm just saying, like, if it's between, and it's just hard for me, between a vet like Deion Jones and a young guy who still needs refinement, who has a very bright future, very physical, very talented guy in Andreessen, who I think could get to the practice squad, they might do it like that because maybe like, oh, Deion Jones, he'll clear waiver. You know, he won't get picked up by anybody because he doesn't have to clear waivers, and we can just, hey, we're going to release you, and then we're going to bring you back maybe in the practice squad. But maybe he doesn't want that. I don't know, but he's definitely not a lock after last game. Andreessen, but
Andreessen's definitely a better. I think he's a better athlete than.
Oh, for sure.
They're not too far off in size. Like Spector's
100%.
233, like low 230s, but definitely a better athlete. So I mean, if it's between the two of them, I think really what it'll come down to is like playing specials. So.
And again, I'm not going to say 100%. I don't know about what Andreessen been doing special. I don't even know if he's ever played specials. I don't know if he can.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to comment on that.
He played in the Bears game. Played in the Bears game specials.
He did play specials.
Yeah.
Oh, then there you go. That's his even better, solidifies a path to being the sixth linebacker. But again, if he doesn't, don't feel like he can't make it back here and still be a guy where we can develop. I think that's possible. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's got zero chance. I'm just saying I wouldn't just put a spot for him because you're scared that he's not going to clear waivers and then cut someone else because you're scared. That's all. And I think he's got potential, but again, one preseason game.
$2 in the pot for you for the potential.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start putting money in the pot.
Jake already said it.
Just a little bit
next week. He could come out next week, and I mean, even Mike even admitted, and we talked on the phone. He missed a lot of tackles, or a few tackles too.
Tackles.
And again, as a fellow linebacker myself, I didn't go to the mag or pay in the pros or anything, but it's always about the ones you don't make because a linebacker's a tackling machine. So that's your purpose. And, when you miss the tackles, it's a thing and it happens. But again, refinement. So bring a guy like him back into the building. Don't give him all this like, oh, yeah, you're going to start now. Or like, oh, you're already better than Bernard. And there you go. Like, give him time. Like, he'll be what you want him to be. I'm just on the side of give him more time, coach him more, and see what the product is. That's all.
Yeah, I just want to say too, the kid has a 38-inch vertical, right?
Yeah, crazy.
He benched 225 pounds 32 times. It's definitely more than Bernard did. And did you see the guns? Did you see the arms on this kid? My God.
Built at a factory, man. I'm telling you.
And did you see how he was shedding the linemen? That's what was most impressive to me. He was taking on these big O linemen and being able to shed them to get to the tackles. It was so impressive. The kid's he's built. So again, I've rethought our conversations from earlier because he plays special teams. I don't see why he's not on the team. If he continues, he has another great preseason game. I don't see how you don't keep him on. I don't.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying. I mean, my only point about the whole thing was everybody last week said it's just preseason. It doesn't mean anything because we got whooped. Now it's he's automatic NFL starter. That's all I'm saying. It's just you have to be consistent, and there's no flip flopping back and forth. That's all I want. And I think he can't. I know I've said he can be a great player in the future. I want him to be refined more. Because he's got the great fundamentals, and again runs through the tackles and doesn't stop moving his feet, which is huge for a linebacker. Shoots the gaps hard. He sees the guard pull in. He runs behind the guard and makes the play. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're taught. Every level. So he does all that stuff to a T. But he's not a perfect player. He's not better than Milano. He's not better than Bernard. He's probably not even better than Dorian Williams as an NFL player yet. So great game. Awesome to build on. He's going to build on it, I'm sure. But that's all I'm saying is let's cool it a little bit and again polish this kid, refine him, and then in a year or two, you'll be wow. This is what all we thought he was going to be, and it'll be great.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm not saying he's a starter, but I'm saying, again because of the specials and the fact that you don't activate everyone on game day, but I love him. I love what I saw initially. Like you said, Sean, again, I'm not saying he's a top linebacker in the league, but saw enough potential, and he's from Buffalo, man. You got to keep him around just for that. I'm sorry. You just got to keep him around. Come on, let's go.
Apparently, yeah.
Jessica, the Bills must have seen something start him. Reminds me of what they did with Benford. Yeah, that was cool. But again, I go back to this. I can't imagine how excited and nervous he was just getting this. Like, I don't know who would have come up to him. Probably, who do you think it was? You think it was McDermott who came to him and said, "Dude, you're getting a start this week, buddy"? Think it was Sean, or do you think it was?
I bet it was. I bet it was
or
McDermott.
Babbage. And can you imagine when he gets that information? It's like, oh my god! I mean, I just can't even put myself in his shoes with that. And he showed up. And like you said, Sean, what was cool is that in the post game when they were talking to him, that's the things he was talking about. They were like, "Well, you made 12 tackles." He's like, "I want the couple that I missed." He didn't know how many he missed, but and everyone misses them, no matter whether you're all pro or not. But he was like, he has that perfect mentality. I want to go after those ones that I missed. So I love it.
Exactly. But like I said, that I was telling you on the phone, he's a perfect linebacker. And again, we don't care about the ones we make. We care about the ones we didn't make. And again, instincts were great. But again, I'm just reiterating for the 1,000th time. It's just one game.
It was only 30 times, not 1,000, but I get you.
Just one game. Just one game. So
yeah,
I love all the hype for him. I wish nothing but the best for the kid. But one game, relax. He's not going to start for the Buffalo Bills.
Is this the next Hollywood story, Hollywood movie? I want you guys to put out there, even in the chat, there's the Rudies. Throw out some of those great movies about players that didn't really have a shot and they got an opportunity. Kurt Warner,
Bagging groceries. There was actually a movie made of it.
They made a movie of it later. Yeah, they made it.
Good.
But there's some other ones. What was the one you were talking about, Sean?
I forgot what it was called, but it was a true story with Invincible. Yep. It was a really cool movie. Mark Wahlberg was in it.
Oh yeah. So what was that one? What was that about? Was it a special teamer or what?
Yeah. Well, he tried out for like receiver, and he made the Eagles, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're a bum. We hate you." And then the end of the movie is basically he made plays on special teams and won him a game or something. I think that's what it was. He won a football game for him, and then really his career was a special teamer. But in the movie, it made it seem like he had a bigger role than he did in real life. But awesome movie. I mean, if I could have tried out for the Buffalo Bills when I was in shape, football shape, I would have done it. It's just cool. You get to try out for the team you love. And, it's a great movie if you haven't seen it.
I can't even try out for the janitor position for the Buffalo Bills because they won't even accept me. I'm just telling you that.
Just respect my profession, Brett.
Yeah.
It's an important role, by the way.
It is. And they get a ring. I'm just telling you that. You can be cleaning toilets inside the stadium and everything, and you get a ring.
I'm moving my company down to Buffalo now, Jake. I'm gonna make a team and apply for the Buffalo Cleaners, and then I want that ring.
You should, man.
That'd be so cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, great story, and maybe who knows the next big Hollywood movie.
I'm only tells.
So guys, I mean, we talked about all the positives on the defense. I didn't have any negatives. I don't know if any of you, other than what we said about Epinesa, would love to see him shine a little bit more. I know, Jessica, you said wait. I can only wait. So, but I see some other guys like Groot showing up, and like the guys mentioned, there's competition there, and we'd love to see him get more snaps. So how do you get more snaps? You got to play through and look good in the preseason, but maybe not. We'll see. Other than that, any of you have any negative before we just close this thing out tonight?
I don't want to say a negative, but I want to give a positive shout out.
All right, beautiful.
Number one, special teams for the Buffalo Bills all the way around. We don't talk about special teams enough. And from what I saw, Sam Martin looked incredible out there. I mean,
he did.
Number one, the first punt, 59 yards, and the second punt, 51 yards. Leg looks good. He doesn't look like he has any issues with the injuries and everything that he had last season. Tyler Bass, again, I know it was a short kick and everything, but silencing the doubters. And I'm going to say this right now. We are a little too harsh on Tyler Bass. He is going to be fine. Trust me. He's going to be fine. Yes, miss some kicks and everything, but you know what? Football is a mental game. I'm going to tell you right now, when you're down, and you start missing a lot more. But when you start to figure out your game and you gain your confidence again, and you have your teammates behind your back, everything's going to be okay. This is what I want to say, guys. Let's just keep our expectations right now at a minimum to mid-level and stop overhyping a lot of players. I know it's the time of the year where we can get excited. This is our Christmas, guys. I understand it. But let's stop being harsh on players and start being positive about everything. And that goes not only for the Bills, but let's just be positive in life in general. I mean,
hell yeah.
It's football season. Let's get ready for the start of the season and let's go Bills.
I love the positivity. I love what Sophia says. She's already got the name of the movie, Super Bowl 59, the Joe Andreessen story. Love that. He makes a big interception late in the game to seal the victory for us. Love it.
I just saw it undrafted.
Brett, I don't know. Being too hard on a guy that's your job. I'm sorry. I wish that was the attitude people had for me at my job. Like if I make a mistake or Sean makes a mistake,
Don't get me wrong.
Don't be too hard on them, guys. Don't be too. No, they're hard on us. But hey,
no.
And maybe it's the wide right. I can't take anymore. I've heard it enough. So make those kicks, my friend. Make those kicks.
What it comes down to for me was, and listen, I understand Tyler Bass missed the kick wide right. Yes, I get that.
A lot of kicks.
Why I'm saying we were too harsh on him is when Bills Mafia and so many other fan bases put death threats out to him. That took it way too far for me.
Oh yes, for sure.
And that's why I'm saying we're too harsh. Okay, these people are human beings, just like you and I are. You know, Mike, Jake, Sean, and I are. He didn't mean to miss the kick. I'm going to tell you that right now. He didn't mean to miss that kick. Do you think he wanted to miss that kick? No, he didn't.
Of course not.
This is a game of football. I understand that. And we want what's best for the team. I get that. But, okay, don't say stuff like that. That's what really pissed me off about Bills Mafia. And that's what hurt me this offseason so much. You know, and I didn't want to come out with a lot of content because of stuff like that. Because you guys can be so harsh to the fans and everything and to the players and everything. It's not right. That was uncalled for. So let's be positive, guys.
Hell yeah. If you're not living every day like it's the best day of your life, Brett.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
For you.
Well,
you know?
I'm going to say I'm all about DMing players and roasting the hell out of them if they suck. Not doing death threats. You're an idiot if you do that. But at the end of the day, you guys don't even know what Scott Norwood went through after that. Like I know some real personal. I got sources. I got people that know Scott Norwood personally, and he did not have an easy life after that. So let's just he didn't get any love and grace. Like, oh, feel bad for Scott Norwood. Tyler Bass took off his Instagram in 12 minutes after people were roasting him. So he didn't even have to really deal with anything. And in today's day and age, if you don't like what people are saying to you, turn your damn phone off. Go spend time with your family. So make your kicks, Tyler Bass. That's all.
I heard a rumor, and Sean, if you can
we'll talk about rumors, but
no, this is a rumor about Scott Norwood. It's not even about the whole entire team, okay? Just about Scott Norwood. Did he have a drinking problem after his career ended?
Well, again, I can't talk about anything unless it's off air. It's not my business.
They should do the Scott Norwood story. I mean, that would be a movie I'd want to see for sure.
I'll tell you what I heard, but
and anyway. thank goodness there was no social media back then, because it would have been horrible. But he came back the next year and made everything. And Jim Kelly, I was listening to him. Chris Long was in town and he was interviewing Kelly. Interviewed Josh. It was fantastic, these interviews. And he actually interviewed Mac Hollins because he played with Mac. And Jim, he asked him that question. Do you ever think back and, were you ever mad at Scott? And he says, no, I was never mad at Scott at all. And, if that team really thinks about it, they should have never been in that position. Their defense just couldn't stop. They had I think it was 19 minutes in the game is all the Bills offense had it. 19 minutes to 41 minutes. You're not going to win many games like that, even with the K gun. And so they know that they should have never been put in that position. And back then, 47 yarders were not a piece of cake. Now they are. We got kickers now. 55 is kind of standard if you're not kicking 55 yarders all the time. But 47 yarders were not, gimmies back then.
Brandon
much
Aubrey, 66-yarder the other day.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
could have made it from 70. He hit the back of the
I
net.
know.
So we can't even make a 46-yard field goal with our guy. But with all due respect to Jim Kelly, he had no business being mad at Scott Norwood because his offense had 7 turnovers in one game. So like in one of the Super Bowls. So like, what are we talking about?
We're talking about that first one, just the first one.
Oh yeah, so like
Jim
couldn't be mad at anyone ever in the rest of his life.
No, but if you haven't seen, did you see those interviews at all yet, Jake? You got to catch them. Chris Long.
So I've watched the one with him and Josh. I started the Matt Collins one. I have not watched the one with him and Jim.
Yeah, Jim Kelly.
But yeah, I definitely got to do it. Yeah.
You know, it was interesting because I would have thought that they would talk more, but apparently, you know, Jim and Josh, they haven't really got together, and Josh hasn't really picked his brain, but they were making fun of it that Josh is a horrible texter. He doesn't text back when he was interviewing Josh. He's like, "What should I say to Jim? I'm about to go see Jim," and he said, "I'm really bad about texting." And Chris Long asked him about that. He goes, "Oh my God, you would think he's a young kid. He should be good at the texting, but he's horrible. Never gets back to me." Anyhow, great interviews. Check them out.
That hits home.
I'll say one last thing about Scott Norwood, though. And this is a really good story. After he missed that kick, I wasn't alive, but I'll never forget watching it for the first time. Okay. And this is why I say it, is because it's such a feel-good story when they missed that kick and they were all in downtown Buffalo and they're in front of City Hall and everything. And the Bills are up there and you have Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Bruce Smith all that want to speak, and the crowd chants that they want Scott first to come out there and talk. That's what Bills Mafia is all about. That's really what we are, is chanting for Scott and Norwood to come out there and cheer him on and let him know that it's not his fault. That's what I want to see from Bills Mafia more often than not. I don't want to see this texting and DMing players and giving death threats. I want to see more of that.
Group hug, Brett. Group hug, man. I mean, you're in this loving mood. I love it, man. Group hug.
I roasted Andre Roberts when he was on the Chargers. I said, man,
when they're gone.
I said, dude, you realize if you didn't fumble that game on the kickoff that game, you guys probably would have won the game. And then like 2 weeks later, he messaged me back and was like, you obviously didn't watch the effing game because that's not the only reason why we lost. I was like, dude, you're a millionaire. I'm just on my couch at midnight and you're messaging me 2 weeks later. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
You know, he's a military man, Sean. Went to the Citadel.
Did he really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
show some respect, Sean. Show some respect.
You know,
I thought you would appreciate that.
I didn't even know that. I do appreciate that, but it was
third rounder too.
It was just funny because like I never hated him. I was just like, I'm gonna message him, and because I was watching the game, I was like, man, like what the hell? Like you were a small pro returner, and then you choked in the biggest moment. So I messaged him, and I wasn't expecting a reply. And then he did. So pretty funny moment. That's why I always DM those players, whether they make you mad or not. DM them. Maybe they'll respond. It'll be fun.
So we're gonna close this out, Jake. We got the Panthers next week to close out preseason. It's back in Buffalo. We're gonna see a little Josh Allen next week. You think?
I don't know. I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you, with the preseason. Sean McDermott is just kind of all over the place, very inconsistent with how he goes about, playing starters and not playing starters. So I don't know what to expect. I want to see it, but typically that last preseason game in the past, it's always been backups playing and only backups. So I don't know. All right.
We'll see. Fingers crossed, Jessica, that they've got it all worked out, and come game week 1 in the regular season, we're looking like we're unstoppable. So hopefully we see that. It's a 10 o'clock game. Actually, I say 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock on the West Coast, which is so great to have. I got to tell you guys, like, it's 1 o'clock for you guys. But I wake up, I have some breakfast, and I got some football in a few hours. It's so cool. And then even the later games for you, 4 o'clock, 1 o'clock for us, it's over. Yeah. By 4 o'clock, unless I want to watch the game at night, even that's only at 5:20. It's great to watch football out here on the West Coast. I will say that.
And don't forget that this weekend is Kids Day. So bring your kids to Highmark Stadium.
All right.
Check out the Bills and everything. It's going to be a great game, a great atmosphere with a lot of fans out there. And I think that after the game, you're going to see a lot of Bills players signing autographs and spending time with Bills Mafia like they should.
Sophia,
got to beat Mike.
I know. I was just going to ask her, are you a 7 a.m. Lady? Do you wake up that early to catch the games? 7 a.m.
Oh, you know Sophia is for the Bills.
She probably is, for sure.
How are you going to process and eat breakfast and drink during the game?
She's up at 6 a.m. She's exercised already. She's good to go. She's fired up.
Oh, I love that. That's funny. Yeah. I don't know.
Her drink beer at 7 a.m. I don't know. I plead the fifth on that one.
The earliest I've ever watched
beer at any time for your boy.
The London game. That's the earliest I've ever been up to watching. Oh, I wake up early every day, but the earliest I've ever watched football was the 9 a.m. London games. So 7 a.m. Man, that's.
Jake, really? That early for a beer? You've done it?
Oh.
Like for what game? Like just for a game in Buffalo?
Like I'll start shower. Like if I'm getting up, like for an airport trip, like if I'm going on a vacation or whatever, right? If I have to be at the airport at like 5:30, I'll do a shower beer at 4. Anytime, any place, you name it, I will do it. It's all good.
Jake's very fun.
True Buffalonian.
Jake's very fun to hang out with. We had a great time, and I can't wait to go back and hang out with Jake again. Oh, yeah. So he's definitely a party animal. This guy.
Jake, let me ask you a question though. Okay.
Yeah.
You've had your party days. Now you're in your dad life and everything, but you'll understand what I'm about to say. Have you ever had a late night and everything, and you're out until, let's say, 4 o'clock in the morning and everything, because that's what time it is in Buffalo. You can drink until 4 a.m. there. Oh, so, okay, let's say 6 a.m. rolls around, okay? Are you popping another beer after you took a little nap and starting back up again?
Hair of the dog is what they say. Yeah, typically. Now, it depends on the day. So if it's like we're going on a weekend bender and we're just getting after it, for sure, hair of the dog. You just got to keep going, But if it's just a normal Sunday, probably not. Especially with kids.
Probably not.
It's kids.
That is a nightmare. Being hungover with children is a nightmare.
Bert Kreischer put it out there. I'm telling you. Bert Kreischer put it out there about having kids and everything. And I can't even remember the other guy. There's another guy that was on Half Baked, and he was talking about waking up with kids and everything. And, being hungover, and they have the pots and pans, and they're ching ching ching, waking up with daddy today.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Weston, I'm going to Vegas. So here's the deal. I was just going to mention this. So going to Vegas on Labor Day weekend because it's our buddy's bachelor party. We also just so happen to have a fantasy league together, and our whole fantasy crew is going there. So we're doing our fantasy draft in Vegas, which is going to be unbelievable. It was always a dream of ours because we're in year 10 of our league. So we always said year 10, we're going to Vegas, and here we are.
Year 10. Come on.
So,
man,
I know it's awesome. So the draft is Saturday the 31st, but Vegas. It's gonna be a good one. I'm only going for 2 days.
In Vegas? When will you be there?
So I fly in Friday the 30th of August. I come back home on Sunday, September 1st. So quick 2-day trip.
I might have to take a ride up there. I mean, it's about a 4-hour drive for me. Maybe we'll go up there and say hi and check out the draft. And
don't get married.
I'm already married, my friend.
I'm saying don't reload.
You can do it again.
Oh yeah.
Get married again. Both at the same time.
Don't elope over there.
I've been in Vegas. I like being in Vegas for football games just because, you know, if you take a little money, you bet over there in the betting books, and it's fun to watch your teams and all that good stuff.
I heard Elvis lived there.
I've never tried to drink. I've never, you guys know the story. I've had 2 beers in my life, and that was 8th grade. And one day it'll be on the bucket list where I gotta go with someone I trust, though. Maybe Jake. Jake would be trustworthy. I think we'll go to the game.
We'll have a real good time.
I'll start drinking. I don't know if I'll make it into the game, but I know Jake will take good care of me if I don't. Yeah. I'm always afraid, like am I going to be that sensitive drunk? Am I going to be that mean drunk? Or am I going to be,
probably
or the funny drunk? Or am I going to go through all 3 stages, Jake? What do you, Jake? Which one do you fall into? When
I'm
you fit that
happy-go-lucky, like I love you, man. Just going up to everyone, giving hugs. Like it's me, just accelerated even more.
Oh man, I love it.
Like Jake's technically drunk 24/7 because he's always in a good mood, and
people ask me, they're like, "What the hell, man?" And I don't really like. Yeah,
It gets even better when he's drinking.
does.
But
It does. Ask my wife that though. I doubt she says that.
yeah, she probably thinks differently. But
Just annoying. Sick
yeah,
of you.
my bad it is.
What about you, Brett? You got married recently.
Right.
You probably had the party.
We did.
Did you get a little drunk?
Didn't get drunk on my wedding night. Actually, I didn't have a drink on my wedding night, which is crazy to say. I stayed sober the whole entire time. My wife and I both stayed sober.
I'm talking a bachelor party.
Oh, bachelor party? That's a different story. Yeah.
We weren't invited to it.
You guys were all invited to both.
Weren't invited.
Didn't show up.
I'd have been boring anyway because I don't drink.
No.
But
hey, listen, my brother doesn't drink either, and he was the DD. It happens and everything, but
oh yeah,
no, we had a blast and everything. I celebrated up in the Buffalo, well, not Buffalo area, but Canandaigua area. And we had a blast up there. It was me, and my family. We rented a house and had a good time. Didn't do anything too crazy. We ended up going to a couple of bars and everything. I'll say bars because my wife's in the other rooms and she can hear me. We went to a couple bars. We had a blast though. It was fun, except for the fact that our rental car broke down on the side of the road and we ran out of gas because somebody didn't pay attention to the gas gauge.
Oh no!
And so we had to hitchhike for a little bit, 2 hours to the airport.
You left the car there? What the hell?
Left the car.
Hitchhiking this day and age,
no
that
Uber?
Is a wild move.
Right?
Yeah.
No Uber, no Lyft. What?
No Lyft, nothing. No, it was in Canandaigua. We hitchhiked and everything. In the back of we went in the back of a tractor trailer, dude, and we got a ride to Niagara Falls International to catch our flight and everything, dude. Gave the guy a huge tip and everything. $250 we gave him. Dude was so cool.
For that.
So how many of you were hitchhiking?
6.
I'm not stopping. What do you have? A huge truck?
He had a tractor trailer. We rode in the back of the tractor trailer. Dude, it was a blast.
That's incredible.
And we're all drinking and everything. We're like, hey, we're gonna start drinking and everything. It was a fun time and everything.
That's a fun story.
It's the best way to end the trip. And so I get back to Florida and I get stopped at the airport. And I've kind of told you guys this story. We get stopped at the airport and a police officer wants to arrest me for because they couldn't find the car in New York. Now I gave them the coordinates of where the car was and everything. They kept putting in the wrong town of where the car was. And I told them, hey, it's off of County Road 20. It's there and everything. Find the car. Well, they wanted to arrest me for stealing the vehicle. And I'm like, hello, I can't drive, 19 hours and 3 hours to be back in Florida. That just doesn't happen. I didn't steal the vehicle. I can't do that. So it turned out that they finally found the car and everything. And they had the wrong coordinates and everything. It was a fun story and everything. But yeah, I mean, we've drank a lot and everything. I've had benders where we drank all night and everything. I'll give you a good place, Jake, and you'll know it when I say it. Outside of Buffalo, Batavia Downs is a fun place to drink at. I don't know if you've been there yet and everything, but 34 Rush.
That's what all the podcasters say.
Yeah, 34 Rush. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Hell of a place to drink, and there's plenty of hotels around the area, so you can just drink there and then go to the hotels, or you can stay at the Downs as well. And when I go up in October, that's where I'm staying in that area, and I can't wait to do it all over again. It's so much freaking fun, and I just love having a good time. And I'm the type of drunk that I start buying drinks. I start being cool with the boys and everything. It's it's just a fun time. So and we start eating more than you can ever imagine. We get wings. We go to all the good spots and everything. I tell you where to go, and I like to tell people where to drive to, which is the better part. So the sober one, I'll tell them where to drive, and I'll give them the directions on where to go.
Yeah, you guys are probably too young, Jake, to ever have to hitchhike. Probably Sean as well, because there's Ubers, Lyfts. You guys know so many. But when I used to work at Burt's Bike and Stores, Burt's Bike and Sports, right there by the stadium. I don't know if the store is still there. Do you know if it is, Jake?
Yep.
All right, so it's still there. And I worked for Bert. Bert was a fireman, and so he let me use. He was a cool dude. He let me use his truck. I forget what was happening. My car was down. They let me use this big pickup truck. So I drive it home, and I drive it in. I'm on the throughway there, and it runs out of gas. Now I was told that it had 2 tanks, and you just have to switch something over to the other one, and I couldn't figure it out. Right, so I'm like, oh my god, I'm on the throughway, and I want to have to hitchhike. I didn't have a cell phone. There weren't cell phones back then. I had no cell phone back then. Can you imagine not having a cell phone? Wow. So I get out, and there's the thumb. I'm like, this isn't gonna work. Lady pulls over, and she's got her kid in the back. I would never pick someone up with the kid in the back. I was a young guy. I think I looked okay. I'm not threatening, but she took me into Burt's, and that's my hitchhike story, dude. One time. I see it out here today. I still see people trying to hitchhike once in a while. I'm like, oh my God, no way in heck would I ever pick somebody up. But I got lucky and somebody nice. It was in Buffalo. You would expect someone in Buffalo to help somebody, but it was awesome.
Right?
My mom told me not to talk to strangers, so I'll never.
I'll give you my final hitchhiking story.
You got another one?
You go. Oh, I got a better one,
dude.
This one involves the police.
Oh no!
Have you ever been picked up by the police while being completely drunk?
No.
No.
Okay, this is a crazy story. Okay, Orlando, Florida, Disney World. I went to Epcot. We went drinking around the world and everything at Epcot. So you start in Canada and you go all the way around the world until you get to Mexico again. Then you go back around the world again, go the opposite way, and you go all the way back to Canada. Well, nobody tells you that when you go to Canada, Canada has the most alcohol in their drinks.
Oh, no.
So we started in Canada and worked our way to Mexico, went all the way back. I'm blitzed at that point. So we went to a little place called Raglan's, and at the time, Reggie Ragland was on the team. So I'm like, I got to have some drinks at Raglan's. It's going to be a funny story. I'm sending the message to him. You know, it's Irish-themed place and everything. Well, I get invited to the Disney employees party because I'm talking to the person that runs Raglan's, and they invite me to a party. So we go there until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, my phone runs out of battery, and I couldn't get a charger and everything. So I had to walk back to the hotel. Well, I asked the girl that I went to see there how to get directions back to the hotel, and she gave me the directions. Well, I went one turn too soon, and I ended up going on I-4, which is the main interstate there. And I'm walking down I-4, and there's a major accident that happened on I-4. So I see that like traffic is stopped and everything, and I go across all 4 lanes of traffic one way.
Boy.
Go across all 4 lanes the other way, and I get lost. End up walking about 10 miles down I-4 until I finally realized I'm going the wrong way, and I'm going towards the Mickey Mouse ears that are the electric poles on I-4, which is plenty distance away from where Disney World is. So finally, I see a cop, and in my brain, I'm thinking, this is a dumb idea, but I got to do something to get back to my hotel because I have no idea how to get back there. I flagged down the cop. He pulls me over to the side of the road, asks me what the hell I'm doing out here at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I finally tell him, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm drunk. I have no idea how to get home. I didn't drive. I was trying to get a ride home, and my phone died. Would you mind giving me a ride? Cop was the coolest guy in the world and gave me a ride home.
Wow.
Couldn't believe it. I thought for sure I was going to the police station because he made me sit in the back as a cop car, but
that guy's a real one.
The guy's a real one. I'll never forget his name and everything. But yeah, there's always stories like Jessica says. I mean, there's the stories of like Dwayne Haskins and stuff like that, you know, God rest his soul and everything. I made it out of those situations okay, and that was when I was 21 years old, being stupid and everything. And I've learned my lesson now. I'm a married man and everything, and I'm not going to put myself in those positions ever again. So,
you know what? It's funny. We're talking football. We've lost the last 30 minutes on these great stories. It's funny.
Thank you guys for staying out and listening to us.
I appreciate you guys staying on.
We have the best. We have the best chat. You guys are amazing.
I got to ask though. So when I'm growing up, you know, I don't say it today. I can't call a police officer a cop. When I was young, that was disrespectful, and I get the backhand. So it's police officer for me. Is this still a big thing today with the youngins?
No, it is. There's no.
They call them a lot. I call them a lot worse things, Mike, nowadays.
Well,
Me
no,
too.
I know some of the worst things, but I'm talking just the cop. Isn't that like, is that acceptable
Cop
now
is
today?
like, it's not derogatory. I know what you mean though, Mike.
Yeah.
There's like something a little off when I say that. It's like it's almost like you're being sarcastic, like cop.
A little bit,
Oh,
little
you're a
bit.
cop.
I don't
You
know.
know what I mean?
I feel like
Officer.
I don't know. I just feel like the people I know that are police officers or cops or whatever you want to call them, I feel like they call themselves cops. And I don't know if it's like a new day and age where,
Probably.
they
I call
just
them
don't,
narcs.
they just don't look at it like that anymore. But I get what you're saying, Jake. Like people might look at it as like, no, I'm a police officer. Like that's a title. That's a title
Right.
of mine. Like, like when I was in the army, people would just call you like soldier, and it's like, no, I'm an infantryman.
Right. Yeah.
I send bullets downrange. Like, respect me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be an old school thing, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it's like that. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Weston,
Hell yeah, Weston.
40
Okay.
beers and 3. Where are you at? Where's this country music festival? Tell us what part of the country. And my goodness, 3 days. So you're just sleeping there at the festival? It's just like back to the
Weston sounds like he gets after it a little bit. We're gonna have to have a good time
Right.
out there in Vegas. We'll meet you out there.
That's like 13 and a half beers or 13.25% of a beer
Been
a
there,
day.
baby.
Pretty good.
Uh,
Or 39 in one
Cody.
day
Good to see
and
you,
then
Cody.
one
Ossifer.
for 2 days.
I don't know how many I've done in a day, but I think I was maybe north of 20. I'm not joking. I mean, this is throughout the
Been there.
day.
I believe that.
Been there.
Yeah.
I worked with a guy who said he drank 330 racks in a weekend, so I believe anything nowadays.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Weston, do you remember the headliner?
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about those 3 days?
You just remember he drank 40 beers.
We gotta get Weston on. Weston's so great in our Discord, and he joins us, and fantastic. Other than being a Chiefs fan, which hey, it's okay. We love him, and we gotta get him on here. But
I
some
can't
good
remember.
stories.
Did Weston or Chad say they're going to the Bills Chiefs game?
Oh, that would be great.
I can't remember
I
because
think one of them. I think one
I
of
am
them said-
going now, so I didn't know. I felt like one of them said they were, and I might be wrong. But if you are going, I'm
All right,
man.
Chad.
Chad, how do you even remember that you had
Way to
that?
set the tone, Chad. Way
How
to
do
set
you, how do you even remember? Like
Woo.
you're passed out for the next 2 days. Like we're
Amazing that you were able to still keep count.
Yeah,
He's a
right.
beast,
Right,
that's
that's what I'm
why.
saying. Doesn't even know. I'll tell you how he knows, because this is what I used to do with my friends. I was a designated driver. I'd make up stories. I'd tell him, dude, you had 17 beers, 7 captains and Cokes, and 6 shots of vodka. You took your shirt off. You were jumping on the top of the table. They're like, did I really do that? Yeah, man, you did.
That's great.
I'll tell you a great story about getting completely blitzed and with the Bills and everything. So my dad and I went to the Bahamas on a cruise and everything, and we went to a bar there in Nassau. And when we're there, we're watching the Green Bay Packers and Buffalo Bills game. This is back when Aaron Rodgers was there, and Bakari Rambo had 2 interceptions in the game. I'll never forget the day because we were the only ones in this bar, and my dad and I are going freaking crazy. We had about 15 beers in the span of 3 hours. We had multiple shots, and we have to go back to the ship, and it's got like 2 minutes left in the game, and we're pissed off because we don't miss Bills games, but we have to get back to the ship. So we're walking back to the ship, and we're stumbling drunk at this point. 2 girls are in front of us, and they're more drunk than we are. So my dad and I, being gentlemen, lead them back to the ship. And I have a picture with these 2 girls that I'm completely drunk, don't even know how I smiled and everything in this picture. But I'm smiling like I'm the happiest man in the world, and I look like I'm hanging out at Disney World. Funniest story ever. And my dad, at our wedding, showed my wife that picture.
Oh, no.
Oh wow, that's
For the
great.
first time she ever
no.
saw it. And she laughed her ass off and said, I wish one day that I could see him drunk, because he's got to be the funniest drunk person in the world.
She's
And then
never
I
seen you
think so.
drunk, Brett?
Never seen me drunk in 5+
Wow.
years. Well, we'll be on 6 years in September. Never
Good.
seen me drunk.
Don't let her see it.
Tonight's the
Don't
night,
let her
baby.
see
It's
it.
still young.
That was
You
the
gotta
old
let her-
Brett.
I'm still young. You're right.
Chad, I don't know. I don't know how you even walked back to the hotel and got up for hours. Like, I don't know. I mean, Like I said, it might have been your friend
Built
just
different.
telling you drank that much. I don't know. Sophia says 3 beers and I'm done. Good night.
Sophia, cheap date. Cheap date.
So
To me,
Jake,
beer's so gross. I couldn't even drink like one in an hour.
well, I told
And
you.
the Yinzer in here too. TJ Black, good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I told you, Genesee Cream Ale, I credit for never having me drink again. I had 2 Genesee Cream Ale beers in 8th grade and never touched the stuff again. It's disgusting.
Did you hear the news about Genesee? This real quick. Genesee got bought out by Labatt's, and now they're going to start making Genesee beer and Labatt's beer in Rochester, New York.
All right. Well, that's, going back to the old days. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, so Jake, I'm curious. You don't tell any stories. Big L telling you, is Big L ever shared any party stories with you? Like, did he brawl in the bars?
Big Al puts them back. Trust me, he is. He's a big man as it is, but Big Al has had his days. Let me tell you.
Those 70s parties have been crazy.
Oh yeah.
I would have never wanted to party with my dad because if we ever do the dad pod, my dad was, he lived many years in Buffalo. There wouldn't be a night when they went out to bars, you would hear he would brawl. He'd get in brawls.
Really?
He was a brawl. Man, he was a military guy, and he just brawled. Like, there's so many stories. I'm like, Dad, I would never wanted to go out with you. I probably wouldn't have lived. He tells so many good stories. So we gotta get the dad pod going so we can hear all these cool stories.
Yeah. My dad's the only person to ever get kicked out of a bowling league.
Because he brawled or got drunk?
Because he got in a fight.
Oh, Jesus.
He got in a fight in a bowling league. That tells you something.
What's this one? Oh, yeah, I had too many. What's this? 99 bananas? What's a
Little
99 banana?
Plastic bottles of vodka.
Oh, wow.
I clean a liquor store once a week, so I see all the buzz
99
balls.
bananas of beer on the wall.
I don't know if they got any good bourbon there, Sean. I'm a big connoisseur.
Yeah, I'll take some pictures next time and I'll show you. They got some expensive bottles there.
Wow.
Okay.
You got to come up here one of these days too.
I know.
But yeah, I'll be in Buffalo again, so we'll be hanging out.
I love it.
Bananas.
You gotta try to get. I told you my aunt doesn't. She got me tickets for. I told her. I said, you don't gotta buy me nothing ever for Christmas, birthday, nothing. And she goes, well, I don't want to have any money going with me when I die because it's not going to be used. So I want to spend it all. And my sister and her boyfriend were talking about it because I never asked. And she's like, oh, hey, Sean, come here. I got to tell you something. I'm like, yeah, what's up? She goes, oh, I got you, your wife, and your sister and her boyfriend tickets to the Bill Sheets game. I said, why would you do that? You don't got to spend money on me like that. And she's like, oh, well, like I said, I wanted to. And she got essentially the section. She didn't have the seat numbers. But I know, Jake, you mentioned you might want to buy tickets for that game. So,
oh, yeah.
I think what was it? Section 313
or something like that?
Yeah, so if you can get something in that vicinity, that'd be really cool.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go with my sister. I'm gonna take the train like I did last time, and maybe make a couple day weekend out of it, and we'll get that wing trail again going. And some Paulas, and we'll have a good time. You can meet my wife, and it'll be fun. But
you mentioned people joining our show right now. Like, I thought this was a Bills channel. Yes, we are a Bills channel. If you just joined us for the first hour and 15 minutes, we talked about the Bills and the Steeler game and all that good stuff. So you have to go back to the
went from rush hour to story time.
Well, now we're just talking about some stories.
We went on some Bert Kreischer stuff. Secret time. We took some secret time for everything.
Well, I blame it on we haven't had our panel in a long time.
We haven't. It's a good time.
I do want to say,
go ahead.
We're probably the only consistent Bills panel ever in our community. Like I tell Mike all the time, you can hate Dolphins fans all you want. They have the best YouTube community, and
they do.
I'll put anything on that. And they always do panels, like every single channel. They from the smallest YouTuber to the biggest one, they all work together. So I'm always like, where's our other Bills panels? There's not many of them. I was like, we kind of were like the originators of Bills panels because we always done panels for like 2 years. So since I remember being in YouTube, I feel like we're the only real panel. So I mean, shout out to to the founders, Mike and Jake, for keeping the Bills panel shows going.
I love it, man.
For sure. Love these stories. Love to clip these, but keep it running. So if you put a chat out there, say who was. Say it was. So the people know who's saying these type of things. Like I always put, this is Mike.
Okay, I'll put my name next to it.
Next time.
Well, if you want to keep it running, I do have to hit the hay soon. But if you guys want to keep the stories going, I know Mike. It's early for Mike, but
it is early.
It's early.
It's early. 9 o'clock. Still got to get the kids are like probably like, when's Dad gonna be done? And Jake, little Sully still sleeping? No problem.
Yeah, he's getting up in about an hour here, so I got to feed him in an hour. And
the schedule,
Right,
I'm on the night shift, baby.
Oh man,
like Batman.
All right. Well, if you come to this channel and you're listening in and you're like, what the heck's going on? And hopefully you enjoy it. Smash that like button for us. And otherwise, I'm going to say thank you to everyone that's been out there. It's been a fun 2 hours, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same bat channel. Until then, stay safe. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
go Bills.